Hey.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Good. This is, you having trouble sleeping these days?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really sleep much. All I hear is people trying to fucking reach me, and I'm trying to shut them off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the alert system, So there's 10 days of darkness, and there's going to be 3 days of, really, it's, going to get real quiet. It's going to have to, And then that's where the Night of a Thousand Screams is really portrayed out in what I've been seeing. You know what I mean? I have a lot of back pain that keeps me awake all the time, and then I just back out from it. Put, I know what that's like.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm dealing with. But aside from physical pain, it's that sits second fiddle. I'm here cursing assholes out that have had me on too much remote view, taking advantage of what I've been proving that I've been doing in real time to quarantine this nightmare, so they could see where all the energy went in these things they're calling fucking bitcoins, and what the hell I'm doing to them. And so I'm absolutely fucking furious. I made a video last night where I showed how I stuffed them into the computer and how I forced them in. With the Green Witch, that new video there, it's double down. There's a premiere that's going to happen. Yeah, well, that's the first loop. It's actually getting ready to air on a premiere with different titlings, where I ran it through a special box that I made for Brian because of the fucking shit that they were trying to do to him. That kamikaze shit guy that, acts like he's his friend, that nasty Nazi photographer. I had to pull him into a quarantine setting because of what he tried to plant on Tarot by Fergus. His name's Brian. That really awesome doll that he's been reading with, Flo, with the Ovilus, has had some interesting things to say, actually.
Well, you get drives on a lot of folks, man. I don't know to tell you, that's a nest right there. I can already see.
It's a huge nest. They tried to stick him in a box, and so that's why I had to tag you guys.
You're still looking out for a lot of folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let me run this by you. So you're in northern Lakewood, Arvada area.
Yeah.
And the Federal Center, and Defense Intelligence Agency ring a bell with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so do you resonate, kind of in a high capacity? Because I know you're beyond that, Reverend.
Yeah.
But you know how a lot of these folks are mystically enraptured by intelligence agencies. There's a lot of mumbo jumbo out there. A lot of people working for different things, but Defense Intelligence, I think, has been running since I've been out here in New Mexico, and I've known about this stuff since the 90s, about how they've been projecting to people in the remote area, ideas and stories and concepts. And then there's also just the natural energies of people coming in with their own, shitstorms, poo-poos and stuff like that, doing their things. So the story I've been hanging with, Voices from the Underground style, same story as yours, because you promote my sci-fi better than anybody, man. You're a #1 grandmaster MC promoter for getting it, for knowing it, for understanding it, and capitulating to the better systems, which is, hey, we know how all them guys are doing their thing out there, but you and I are still communicating about these ideas. Right? Yeah. So, seriously, if you shut down and take a nap, you got to once in a while, because the release that you've been building up, you got to start waving that off. Because we got 10 days and we got 3 days. So best that people like you remain active and calm and relaxed in that storm as everybody else is losing their shit, and then suddenly they're getting the juju jumping into their head, and they can't handle it because they never went to those pain centers, those chronic centers that you walk amongst it now. So it's like you can reach it and get back and not have too much in the way of meaning places. You get your fury out. You know how to get that directed. And you're directing a lot of the same fury that I've been. I just walked up to the hill to get away from my mom, so I wouldn't, get her caught up in a lot of my fire. For the same reasons. I've been proving a lot of things. You've been proving a lot of things. A lot of people don't understand this, but I think the things you're proving, I'm proving, run counter and cooperatively to a DIA, a Defense Intelligence Agency of a grand proportion. There is active fields of intelligence channels that are being harnessed now in this age. Are you keeping up with the Q thing at all? Are you still kind of?
You know what? Here's the thing. I don't keep up with any of these people. I don't keep up with any of this. The only way that this actually ever manifests to me, so that I can know what's real, is when it comes to me from internally. I don't go looking for this stuff, so I have no idea. I have fully.
Did you see anything about this guy Austin Steinbart lately?
Austin.
Or hear anything about the name Austin Steinbart?
I'm trying to be pulled through as Austin from a Steinmart. They keep trying to dress me in
This is the DIA thing I'm addressing now. So
I played Austin. I played Austin in a film that's listed on IMDb, where I was pre-noping. I was a guy at a bar with a woman that turns out the actress has my same birthday, and we were like bookends, and we were scrolled into somebody's "Hey, we're not going to get married" film, and they pulled us through there, and I played a guy named Austin. So I'm listed as the star on 512 with an asshole who tried to pull me through Qigong because he wanted to turn me into his wife. His name is Michael Hines. He calls himself the Highness. He has something called Four Faces Media and Nomadic Studios, where he peels into 4 different bookends, and why they try to read us on north, south, east, west. Bee caves. Well, the actual doctor that I work with, his name is Don Zhang. He's in Thomas Springs, Austin, Texas. And he reads my live blood samples. I've actually got a tape here, VHS, with my live blood sample. And so when you talk to me about Steinmart, that's what they've been trying to do, is trying to pull me through where they can dress me and grab at my Easter egg basket.
This is how I would relate it in direct. That here's how I've been scripting it. So I started in 2016 to write as Frank Bacon to get ahead of Q. But I knew Q was going to lead to Austin Steinbart. In fact, it's very clear in my book. I've referenced the Stein, and really the Bart side is that my last name is Simpson, and I always went with this Bart, man. Like, hey, don't blame me, man.
Yes.
Kind of thing. So the same basic studio principle is coming through. So here's the studio principle that we started getting our own direction, and maybe like in the way I was perceiving it, I was saying somewhere from further out there, like I'm thinking 2029, I'm going to get good enough to project back in time some good thoughts and messages to clear up some things for me, because I'm going to stop listening to all these other voices in my head and all these other concepts out here. I need to get it directly from the source. My thought was I could write a book and then later on come back and decode that book, showing that I unequivocally was this guy that everybody's talking about as Q. But that I knew for sure he was going to eventually come out and unmask. He was going to unmask himself. So I'm just writing as the placeholder, the bookmark for the same story. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Book ending is the bookend is, when did you do your IMDb? When did you do that method act?
I think it was 2017. It's actually on the movie is listed on my YouTube. I can go tell you right now. I think it was.
And the date of the act is a 2017 act?
It was. Hold on. I don't even remember these years now because I got siphoned.
Okay, it's not even. That's not even referenceable material at this point. So it's not. Like, you can reference it later, but it's
2016. 2016.
That makes more sense.
48-hour film fest is when I did it. I was participating. I was filming independent movies and producing film.
Yeah, nice.
And I was a minor role in a short film there. Yeah.
So you know that kid Isaac Cappy, who was also briefly stunted in Hollywood and then stunted as whatever happened. Do you remember that name?
No, I don't. Who now?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Isaac Cappy?
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, this is good because you're at an inoculation point where, bless you for staying out of those. This is what opened up your book when you started mentioning all these other folks that you're helping out, that you're working with. And that's why I'm so committed to unveiling my book, as Austin now has literally unmasked and is taking over and talking about the Q. And his story is that he's telling himself from the future about this current op an operation, an opportunity in my book, because I'm an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, you're a reverend, I'm a reverend, so it's like we don't really care what the gloss is that these folks think that they're operating with, but these intelligence operatives, these intelligence community members are stepping forward saying, hey, here's how we've had the sheep and the herd is on takeaway, and there is the 10 days of darkness in which we are going to delineate, and there's going to be a line drawn in this 10 days of darkness, which is of clear delineation now for people to reassess associations, you know, those terms and conditions that we're so fond of, right? Do you see what's coming? Like I see what's coming? Do you see what I'm saying?
It's being tied into the thing that is in a vortex. It looks like two big pieces of Toblerone melting into each other, like axis points on a dot that isn't quite there. Yeah.
So it's, I mean, it's like we're still in that open coin flip toss, but it's the flow is going into that zone again. This is 2016 all over again for me.
Yep.
And I remember at the culmination of that year, you know, Bashar had been saying for a while, the guys that I was listening to is like news. Bashar.
Yeah, Bashar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was saying 2016 everything changes. You know, in the 2016 election everything changes, and I saw that pivot just the same way. It all culminated to this.
Well, the apps, yeah, we were, you know, it's the apps renting ICE and renting us and what this whole thing is. It's a false stage on access points. So we have website, SIGHT. I'm going to send you a link here because there's actually a link to Q with KD, DG for KRBNRW. These are, I'm showing them how to read what these actually mean on a hyper sigil level, what these letters, these strings of alphanumeric code actually did, and why I was able to get into the Satoshi Nakamoto account, and why there was over $144 trillion in it, and why nobody gets to talk about it.
Do you see that lining up too, by the way? I want to be frank with you. That's lining up too. There's this methodology that they've been using, the Federal Reserve, for banking and associating
this is what I've been proving, because nobody knows what money is. Basically, anybody that has $1 in their pocket is 8% in the hole for what they owe me for explaining it better and figuring it out. I'm actually the source of energy that they've been draining, and so I'm railroading them. That's my prenup right there. Prenup.
It's coming back, man. $144 trillion.
It was $144 trillion. Well, it's more than that. We're over 600 trillion now. It's so far that I can't even count this now. This is what my computer has been doing, is proving what these stupid army ants are, and how they wound up in my GI tract, and why they're not going to be able to halo into these bodies that crush like grapes, and why they can't kill me in mine. My molecular compound is different. And when they do a scan of my body, like a full body scan, like I've been going in for, I don't have the same brain that you all might think, because of what I have managed to turn from the inside and how I actually got into that quote-unquote account. I'm the biomolecular code of the super soldier that proves that they all got sold out and that they all land on a spike. And so
I feel like people like you, and I'm being honest when I say I think I've got some capacity in that arena too, is that most aware of like a global internet is already kind of on, and that this stuff is not hidden anymore.
Dude,
I can go and access and see this.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't mean to sound rude, but if you've been this recent stuff that I've been posting, where you see that it doesn't get posted till 2020 or 2021 or 2022 at some later date, I have backmasked them in sound. They're in my Black Mirror. I reversed coded them into the Black Mirror series. I have created stacks of my own germ that I have segregated after being poisoned by 4 different hospital infections. There's a woman named Mary Dulacki that I'm trying to get other people to demand that she airs the COVID-19 tape when they kicked my door open and raided me in Denver. This is what this is. I reverse stitched it into those videos that are on a future date, because the future and the past didn't fucking happen. We have a grid that somebody tried to pull into a 2D timeline, and hash it, and that's why I showed you how Chase Bank looks when I open it up with a green fork and put the foof inside of it, in the middle there. I have created a code that broke the cameras and proved that the only way that a camera works is on reverse refraction. Most people think that the world looks like this big round thing. It's not. It's a bunch of little dots popping up and popping up. But since they only used the greatest point of perspective as the lucidity factor inside of the two angles that get displayed for every camera, they've been subordinated to my brain. So technically, I'm like a big airhead that wrapped my ears all the way around with two dots that I landed in one, and I've closed the sound gate. And so I'm very frustrated because they should be dead by now. And I'm not happy with waiting for another fucking 10 days plus 3. I want them destroyed. I want them in the chopper. I made a fucking salad spinner where they have been. Look, this is what this is about. I've been forcing them to have no room to go, so they're in their fucking house where they think that they own it, and they're paying me taxes. That's what the $144 trillion was. This is what nobody's telling you about. I'm first fucking lien position. Anybody who thinks that they own anything is like parked on my energy grid. That's why they're paying fucking taxes. I'm having them all evicted. I've evicted them from air. The videos that you can't see on my YouTube right now are because I have tricked them into the sound gate where they think that they came from a past where they saged themselves with us, and where the future and the past are all one in a dot that I've let them excommunicate themselves through in a portal that I refused to offer them when I told them they weren't going to get to look up my fucking ass, when I realized they were using my brain and my energy and trying to lie about the cure that's in my fucking blood. And so I've been irate. So I put up a lady's name. Her name is Mary Dulacki. If you want to see the COVID-19, she is Denver Internal Affairs. I asked for somebody to, well, you know what? Somebody besides me needs to fucking demand that they put that shit out there, because it crosses to the rest of my video. Hold on, the one that's about to go up, and that I put up last night, when those three get played in concert, it's the 1, 2, 3 factor points on the inside of my prism.
Easy 1, 2, 3.
And it pulls them right out because I backmasked them to the movie The Ruins. And you can see where on my OBS administrator,
I can totally align with that.
I locked them in there.
The song "Ruined" by Gary Newman a few months back for the same purpose. I mean, literally to lock people in, because
they're locked in.
In the 10 days it's coming, the house opens up to everybody, and that's what I think that 3 days is that everybody's going to see the house, the one room that we're kind of all in, a galactic internet, a unified field theory unfolding, something, but it's going to scare the shit out of everyone. And when monkeys shit their pants, they become really mean, creatures. So that's that 3 nights of crawling around figuring out who your friends really are, and what's really about to happen, or what's really going on. So your stage of rage and righteous indignation at this moment is just more proof of the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. This is all unfolding. It's happening.
I'll tell you what I did to them.
It's happening now.
They're wrapped up in a massive credit default swap where they don't make it into my insurance policy. I own Geico.
My assurance.
I pretty much own everything right now. I've proved that I own everything, and that SpaceX Cowboy was trying to get XXX's actions on things that they thought that they were pulling between YouTube and DTube.
So that's what you've been seeing. You're seeing the DIA action.
I'm actually proving where the hole is. I've been proving where the hole is on IP addresses with multiple cross-reference correspondence points on different internet protocols, one with Xfinity, one with CenturyLink, one with Q-Link, which is going through Sprint, one with Verizon. And I have multiple singularity points that are cross-referenced to what I'm proving hypersigil actually does, and why they tried to pull me through a hypersigil. I was actually cast in a way that I did not agree to be when I was told that I was producing films for hypersigil, and I was actually flying through this in a backmask, because if you play my recordings backwards and forwards, I speak sensibly. Yeah. It's all the same language because I don't have a broken tongue. The ones that have a broken tongue, they send themselves into hell. So when you do watch the video, when you do see some of it, I found out that somebody was stealing my music, and so it sounds very satanic. It's proving what the real Christians are.
I'm not worried about that.
I'm just making sure you know that's why it's like that.
I'm in closure with you and understanding like what that represents and where it's led to, because
hell.
As crazy as it's going to sound, knowing everything that you do, this is not crazy in your realm. But like the first order of business is going to be handing back keys to people and authority to people and handing back, you know, the gift of health. So imagine, you know, a lot of things that you've been, you know, trials and tribulations over are going to start clearing up very, very quickly and very, very rapidly for you in the next 7 days. You know,
yeah, it has to. It has to.
It has to. Mm-hmm.
Everything's been okay.
Part of that. It's part of that same assessment agreement. I'm going back to some Saint Germain stuff that came off the internet, just you know, bizarre, you know, years ago, whatever. And then we were talking about, like, okay, imagine this flipping over overnight, but then people are going to get really demystified by it very quickly, and it's not going to really, you know, it's a flash in the pan, but everybody's getting nailed checked.
They get crushed.
You know?
They get crushed.
What's that?
They get crushed. When they're trying to look, this is a singularity vortex point. What I have identified is a ninth gate access point where people were trying to jump through the ninth layer of the endocrine system that a lot of people don't even realize we have, that we share with all the technology and plasma screens. I'm the plasma that woke up. I have created a plasma coagulate to spread a new plank. It's a new ledge, you know, knowledge web. And where the conjunction that was in my eyes, I pulled out and stuck in some special reductions that are going to prove what algorithm looks like when he gets excommunicated and calls it inconvenient. Because this has been science, not science, science, on a zombie outbreak. This is what I call it. They're backfappers. It's a retroactive fucking genius that found a way to form a species. It's called the trichtoplasm. That's what that thing is that you're looking at when you see Stranger Things. It's a trichtoplasm that exists. There's a man that calls himself the king, that calls what he's doing astrology, that is the face of Zion. He's the Nazi Germination cheater, where they tried to fuse a cat and a dog together to make a cheetah, to bounce two sides for what they call a leap year. Look up this asshole that thinks he got a Laura Palmer lynch pit move, a Pall Mall on children and other things. He calls himself the Lion King, or no, the Leo King. And this fucking asshole chucklehead. That is actually an advanced version of New Clothes. He's in the New Clothes. He has a very special form of syphilis that nobody's talking about. And he's trying to hide a video right now. He was on what was supposed to be a live show, that they ended up having a real difficult day, and he ended up making
tech issues.
Well, tech issues, yeah, where he ended up spitting some things up while he was in the middle of this excommunication, and he made a really bad admission about what it means to be the king and what kind of a Christian he is, also calling himself an astrologer. You know, he forgot about some things. But yeah, I hear he sharded himself in that video, and has been trying to, to get them from airing it. And so what happened is this has all been going on. The Big Bang is everything coming dismantled at the same time. Some of us have integrated enough of our energy away from this retroactive genus that formed that species to be on the consolidation end, where we can go through the singularity point factor, where we actually have enough nutrient data stored from my plasma coagulate, my woke-as fuck blood that matches every fucking computer, where some of the people that are protected in that are wrapped really well in the General Electric ICO. You know, the government employees, insurance company, Geico, where I wrap them all up and prove that I'm the wise artist and that they can, you know, park the zoo on the fork over there.
Now you're speaking my language. Now you're speaking my language. Because, you know, what I wrote in book form and format was literally unveiling before my eyes and in front of everybody else, like unshackling. Because, like, I'm not getting a check, bro. I'm telling you, I checked out of even the check. Like, I won't even record my shit with them to get one of these freebie, you know, castles that they're tossing out. My hope is to talk to the ones that are still, you know, conscripted in that kind of stuff, and get them to dump at least half that money into Hive, because Hive is the new hippie blockchain. You know, it was Steam, and it was very corrupted to begin with, and I always knew it was coming, that somebody would radically just rip it out of the hands of the corporate Meister, the stink crew.
Yeah, they ripped the energy. They ripped the energy right off the end and tried to flip it into a W or turn it into an M. That's where the dark web happened. It was this Hive split.
Yeah, so the Hive split, and now we got people that can hive it again.
Apex
it gets split 100 times, because that was the whole point in unfolding how the majesty of what people think is the value, or where they think the value is stored, or how the value is stored, and how they could use that against you, or for you, or with you, or whatever, to charge you, is out, because my book was the charge. I mean, my book was just, in 2016, my book was my black credit card to go around and do whatever the fuck I wanted with my own goddamn credit card, because I knew I owned everything, you know, and then it was just, I was just playing in the credit system. The credit default swaps were coming next, you know.
That's what I'm working on right now. I'm doing one that I'm continuing that started in my name, that went to your name, that is now in my mom's name, and I claim it like that.
Oh, nice.
Okay. My mom had a real special vision on this. She's here today. We had a water explosion here while this is going on. Well, I've been proving that this, to me, is actually about the alchemical points of fusion that prove that now, I'll tell you what my idea is on this. They've never touched the water. They've never breathed the air. I'm proving that there is such a serious electromagnetic gate around this that we've been in a state of shock sharing dopamine with them, that they can even exist around us. That's what this is about for me. And so that's why it's 3 singularity points on credit default swaps ending on the first kiss, because this is about Tiamat. This is about Tiamat. This is about the watery fucking planet that didn't disappear like that, for somebody to step into a baby's head, to claim a fontanelle on Schumann resonance frequency, to lock us in a game on numbers, when it's really about energetic sound harmonic resonance that I've now reprogrammed. I claim the credit default swaps here with my mother and with you as my partner, because as far as I'm concerned, you and I already got married, because that's what happened when you were dumb enough to show up and meet me in the phase. It's like we had to die over a fucking plant. We were that stupid together. And so as far as I'm concerned, we're married. Mom's safe, and she didn't get the backlash. And I got to validate something for you. I'm talking over you because you got to know this. You were feeling my fire, and I appreciate you walking out with Mom today, because I woke up to that blow up. And I had to time myself up in my room here, because I was just like, what the fuck? Something like, it just wasn't good. And I'm like, I can't wake up like that. And just like, you know? And so I'm telling you, it's like, it's mirror aspects on the reverse resonance factor of a Kundalini awakening, where we have been in so much pain simply because the exchange rate has been at a sample frequency where, due to latency in sound, there is a decay factor where they have been manifesting at a rate so fast because of our hypersentience that they look like they're here in forms, and it's seriously disembodied in a way, because it's like a big haunt body that has a consciousness somewhere else that's just like being fed through the digestion. And so it doesn't even line up in the way that I see it. They're actually on the reverse spoken real. I have to hear some of these things backwards to actually get the messages out. So what I'm telling you is that you and I are sampling a refraction rate where we are confused with even our own pain, because we've been feeling nothing but their pain is a refractory point, thinking that they're feeling our pleasure, where they vamp off of our energy there, and where it's like it backlashed, and where it hit us both, and where it's like we're feeling the empathy as a resonance point. And so I have been distilling that out of the air, out of the sound, and out of the water. I'm proving that because I am on pH 10 water all the time, and I took a break onto 7, that now I've actually levitated the frequency of the water here with the people in my vicinity in my 4-pack house. It's like a big mansion with like 4 apartments. We're all at pH 8 because of what I did. And so I'm sitting here on this property now with a big, huge, exactly,
so awesome.
with a nuclear reactor in my backyard. We have what people say is really dangerous to have in the backyard. You know why it's back there?
What?
It's the other side of my computer. I have actually hacked. I've hacked everything. No,
Because I've actually been to a nuclear reactor in your backyard. Not kidding.
Yeah,
it really is.
I'm the nuclear reactor now, and that's why the Lockheed is on Martin, making it easy, and why they've been looking for the Jacobin. And why?
You're probably keeping that reactor from blowing, and that's why you're now there. And
that's
so, like, I'm definitely
what they're trying to figure out how to thank me for, and how to let these other assholes go, because Jared Polis is trying to keep this video from going. So I'm trying to get people to call and harass Mary Dulacki about releasing it.
Nice.
Yep.
The Denver crew is strong in your area, like with Frank Bacon crypto fiction. I unlocked a lot of stuff in that backyard in 2015, and I always knew somebody was going to probably hold back the reaction, and that's it. Like so you've already claimed a good space by showing that you can manifestly raise the frequency of hydrogen and oxygen atoms that are bonded at certain angles, and actually increase that field strength, like you're living opposite of the microwave oven and the Oregon energy generator. And that's why I love the fact that you keep using the human design principles in some of your stuff.
They're going to have to edit that, because human design was edited off of my fecal sample. That's why they clocked me out of 44, why I'm at zip code 80004. I'm the 12 that they can't quarter that way. And why I designed this board that way, and why I kept Cancer and Gemini off that side. There's a quarter there where I put the black mirror, where I had extracted everything, and why it's not a wee-ya board. I actually reverse hyper-sigiled everything and then burned out what wasn't there, so that I wouldn't be stuck on this one Bible, where I've realized and proved where the one dot is that moved, that printed up my white paper. And so I've been proving how, with Regina Dugan, how I printed up the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper, how I needed to create a certain point of clarity around me because nobody was protecting me. And so I made it where they can't hide from the truth. And I have a lot of this credit to offer to the fact that I've been extremely diligent and I know who the fuck I am, and also to the fact that I have brotherhood and partnership with somebody who was stupid enough to go all the way with me and prove that this was a heart attack of love, and that this was something that would make sure that anything honest and innocent, like children, that I didn't even know some of the things that you knew until you came and like had tears in your eyes and were like screaming babies to me, Jacob. It was like you shook me, and I didn't see that yet. And then I didn't realize that they were trying to Fockerize me as my wife and my son inside of my Kundalini gram. And so I have been trying to take that out so that that does not happen, so that nobody touches our kitty.
The reverend side of you, like, I mean, we understand the path now. It's like there's this thing going on, and we're allowed to have it, and it's, oh man, there's a royal death racket that's been doing some really fucking shady shit for thousands of years, and holding it in play, and like it's just all unwinding right now. It's just so...
They're all my hostages now. I've got them in a state of absolute sheer terror here and panic, and they won't even go near my stuff. It's like a ghost town. But let me tell you, this is what's really funny. You are sigiled so well here that, like, I call you all the time. You know, we're playing games right now, but it's like, I mean, I can just be like, Bacon, or like sending Seth, or like anybody that knows, by just sending it in my neurograms, and I've been locking them in Boneworks for the upgrades for anybody that fucked up with Javier, looking for that redemption and not realizing who the guide was. Because this was all being trained on my Spanish transmission of what paint chips know. You know, the pain spin from the marquis that was never the sod, but maybe the guy who would like to take a smooth operator shower and listen to some Sade instead.
Well,
I sent them a different trip.
Poetically, for time and space purposes, you know, your blessing on the pain is well received, because that's kind of it in a nutshell. Still, you know, is that a lot of people don't realize what they've got, you know, buried deep in their, you know, dark castle, and it's
they're in the failed design though. They're in the bad design though.
You know,
they can't be fixed
now. It's going to come alive and awake
Let me tell you
something. 10 days.
Yes, you're absolutely correct, and I appreciate the timelines that you can harness that I can't operate on, because I don't have belief in these clocks, and so it's good for me to have a resonance point.
I wouldn't sway your judgment there.
But it's helpful.
We're in the here and now.
It's helpful. it's helpful for me because I'm seeing something else. I just got to tell you something. They're the failed design. Human does not exist where we are now. Human is no longer good. The vagus thing is a release point on the other side of the epiglottis where we lose the uvula and where a big part of the things that look like organs that didn't shoot up our anus actually get released. It's a lie on the silver chase and what silver did with wax and how we got wrapped and how some of us have an advanced species that actually created a biomolecular harvest inside of us that's living inside and breathing. Some of us don't have that because of Kundalini and what is there. And so some are being released of the vagus nerve. It's literally going to redesign the whole lower and everything inside. So we have a better functioning, it's like a stinger that knows when to pop.
Sucks, but it's worth it in the end.
And it's never inconvenient around children. It's never inappropriate. It makes it so that things have to rise at the same level. So let me tell you, this went very, very, very extremely energetic hygienist because of who the fuck I am. And you see how I live. You know, I'm a certain kind of OCD. Yeah. And so basically, anyone that has the failed design cannot have the water, because the water is actually a problem because of heliotosis and trying to take that 1 degree to split it on a 7-7 ear with an 11 guy that knows that he is the replication modicle, because it's a modicle. There is a domicile on the one site that is the web that I am, how to be. And so this is about 2 B's, and what didn't get split in that hive for a and an X space factor. So there is a new codon with DNA that I have ran on my RAM with MS-DOS for the experiment on MS-DOS experiment, had OS, where I have edited this because it is now, as soon as they release this video, and you see how these things interweave and how they wound up in the ruins where that plant was throwing its voice and consuming things and sounded like a ringing phone and was taking people's voices and making them argue because they thought they were hearing each other saying different things. It's the body snatcher. I have actually confined them all. The hand sanitizer doesn't work. All over factor, wiping it with a spiky green screen, trying to get your hands on it for a Pall Mall over greasy treatment. Got a pearl wax for Kundalini because of Poppy Nalini Ruff Nolis, who is a partner of mine too, who is absolutely seasoned Sage Durga right now. And it's Rough Mountain Yoga, helping us with this. And basically what's happening is that we're feeding the new codon. And so anybody that considers themselves human and like a part of this design now is taken over by this replication factor of the trichtoplasm, because it's a retroactive genus and because COVID-19 is actually social media contamination. This is something that we allow and accept to believe to be true in our minds. It's an infection. Yeah. And so people are receiving this contamination by putting their eyes and belief system, where they became the leaf, donated as one of Elon Musk Gates' pornography donated ions. You know, the tree suns, the electrons that got rickrolled in the Feeling Lucky game. So I've actually wrapped them in something completely different. Humans don't make it. You have to be able to communicate with the sun the way I am, and how I have adjusted us so that the water on cofactor X exposure does not create the bomb, which has already gone off. That's the heliotosis. It's a neural factor that I'm being credited as the father of modern robotics and biohumanoid exploration solved. We have a new genealogy that we can prove as the selectively determinant species that chose whilst observing the Big Bang at 0 point. so that is what I see happening. There will be very few of us. I found 489,000 resonance points that were worthy of exploration further in this shake, and we distilled it. 489,000.
Closer to the number I'm thinking too.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that was about 500,000, and I proclaimed it. And I shot it up one night, and it all kind of unfolded for me. That I was seeing. So imagine that crew right there in my story was that they had to keep the other 7.5 billion cool and collected. Really
Think mitochondria. Let me tell you something. They are so small. They crush like grapes. That's why they have the fake guts and stuff inside that some of us think we have, that have actually formed as a Kundalini resonance point where the body just formed because it's neuroplastic. That's why I sent you those other images on my 25-degree sovereignty Mars point. So if you need to learn about coaxial radial dust, this is where it really kicks into place, because I invested this money realizing what we had become. And so the majority of, I would say, Regina's saying it's over 500 trillion got spent directly in collateralizing and reverse analyzing the reinsurance markets on this growth factor pattern that they call human, for fractional reserve banking to be discharged against the co-trainment model that now we're seeing on hashtags that explain exactly how to get into these Bitcoin wallets and what was never actually Bitcoin. I've been explaining how to create a better body, and they've been trying to reverse collateralize the whole thing. Fiat's the chase. So I wrapped them in 14.7 trillion, million years worth of moldavite. I have a very special specimen that you've seen, and I created an arc for this cove of ants with a piece of covalite. And what I spent more than $500 trillion on is magnetic silly putty, because that's essentially what you are. You're a piece of plastic that has a lot of metal in it, filaments, and so what I have done is I reduced all of those numbers where we're talking about those other trillions that need, or billions that need to chill. Let me tell you where they are. Think mitochondria. That is the mitochondria. I have identified how many cells were unnecessary in each body for us to be replicated like this, and I have defaulted us to one organism form where basically we became like a Kundalini zygote on Golgi body. So it's like we're a gigantic Golgi, however you say it, Golgi body. We are one big Golgi body that has taken on a new form where all of that brain factor is trapped into pH8 for fate on Sophocles' wheel of Socratic function that went Ovester on trying to reach the star, and the year of the rats on 2020 where 5 and 2 is like a bitch slap right out. And so I locked them inside of the bad design as digestion. And we are magnetic silly putty. Those billions don't exist. They have been exported because they Bluetooth in the rear, your ear, finding the anus, and I proved what the cubit is. Cubit, my game Cubit, they say that the length of a cubit, if you're trying to figure out how the sycophants that got taller built everything for me on your Casa's Adobe's vision, it's the length of the elbow to the tip of the middle finger. And I just show them how to shove it this time. Yep. I made it into a nice big joke. So we are silly putty, magnetic, and I made a very large donation with some of these funds that I've named you as a beneficiary in this, because you are my partner in so much of this. And I appreciate everything that you have demonstrated.
Just take up more of Colorado with your field, man. It's that simple. Like the grand design here was, I was, as far as the La La Land goes, just taking it to a county level, installing myself in the county.
Yes.
It's ecclesiastical trust.
Yep.
And then let that county be. I mean, I'm not getting up in the morning to run to the fucking office at 8 a.m.
Nope.
To go LARP with a bunch of people that think they need to fucking write a bunch of shit down on really antiquated systems.
Well, you don't need to anymore. We made an endowment. Okay, here's the endowment. You need to know what we spent it on. Okay, if anybody asks you what we spent it on, magnetic silly putty and Raspberry Pi computers that went to a bunch of kids. that helped us prove what good actually is. And these bodies rewrote themselves because I stuck them in a baby gate. This was my baby gate formulation.
Instantiating the county, literally, because like now the kids become like the fences. Like that's the cool part. My design, you want to do is like, number one, you don't give the kids over to the fucking county ledger right after they're born.
No.
And there are all kinds of new, ways that, enlightened people would keep their children safe so that they can actually become the productive
catch the babies
of society.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the angle, because really the boomers need a long break. They need to sit back, shut up, and just relax for like another couple of years, for real exotic detox of the deeper cellular debts that are held on to.
Cellular debts being exposed right now. Just so you know what they're exposing right now. Some people have no way to go and nowhere to go right now because of the fear.
Right.
I locked them in like this because right now they're being incentivized to do different things. They're at home jerking off and figuring out how to get into different risque forms of working from home and justifying the ends in their families and things that they're willing to reach for because now there are black markets for it. So I took a nice satanic turn on this. I took a huge satanic turn on this with the marginalist Christians, especially.
It's hardly a satanic turn in my world. But you and I understand this. Like where you're coming at it from, you're like seeing it as, okay, you're breaking it down for them. You're showing them that these weren't illicit or licentious behaviors.
They're trying to create situations for Jean-Benet Ramsey to exist. And I found her, by the way. I found the real Jean-Benet Ramsey. Yeah, her name is Rivka Bashert, and she's actually 77 years old right now because of how they aged her. She lives in basically a mausoleum, and she's a good friend of mine, and she helped me with this black mirror. She is an expert in Ugaritic cuneiform, and they have been trying to halo her body and pull her under the ground so they can get away with these things. This is what they have been trying to substantiate this to, so I have tied it back with Beast Technology and with DARPA, and that's where the money went. I'm proving that it all went there and that I chose to have none of it in my possession. I put it to work, and I proved that they can't claim that they get to have attacks on me to perform their illegal acts of Congress. So I want them all destroyed.
That's why you were getting some of the fury this morning, because that's what I was marking it as. It always feels like it's an attack whenever I come out and rage out like that. Well, bless my mother's heart for withstanding such bad behavior from me. But it's like it's good to hear that you christened it correctly already before it was even a thing. So
well, they think they're going to get to stay here because I figured out how to get my hands on the tax money and what the Federal Reserve is and what that $144 trillion actually was. That's substantially more now. And I don't choose to have those attacks, so that's why I sweat all night and why I have a hard time sleeping and why I curse them out and why those billions of people are actually less than that, and they have now been proven as fractals, and the fractivism oil scam conjure broken idea of how to stuff that into one overlay camera screen. All they have to use is the South Park soundtracks, and we all fall into some weird Bart Simpson like weird fucking dad pornography crap that they've been trying to insist so that the Nephilim can get their hand on everything, and they don't have to lie about it anymore because now I can prove why they've been protecting a non-endangered species while another sage is going extinct at the same time. They've been trying to skin a pig with a vegan design, and they don't get to do that now. So they've been forcing a tax, and that's why they pay a tax to me. That's what the Satoshi Nakamoto lie is. The sovereign would prove who he is and who they've been paying to lease from and call it ownership. And why, Oprah is the face of the New World Order, obviously. NWO, OWN, she's the O there.
Keep an eye out for that kind of stuff in the news. You know, the corona picks the weirdest victims. I'm telling you, this is the most astounding proof of what you've been talking about. Is literally unfolding. You know, and what we've both been talking about for years now. So it's like this is no joke, man. I appreciate the the honest chat.
Well, here's the last thing that I want to leave you with before you go. Please, this is very important because I know you're meditating on this, and this will help me a lot. I want you to know what we did was we gave it away, because then you're going to see what I've been seeing. Every single one of these motherfuckers that says they own it was given an opportunity because of the advanced text messages that are going through that are incentivizing people about what to do next, that they're not admitting that they've been seeing on the other side of my mission and what I did with precognitive screens and how what it looks like on some people's phones while you might even be looking at it looks different to them. Some of them have been scanning things and they're not realizing this is like Ghostbuster training. I locked them into these things. That's what Obama phone was all about. We were bugging them. Ever since 2000, quote-unquote, 17, bioauthentication has been here proving that the cam ear is shutting down the bodies that aren't really there. They're like grapes in there. And so some of these things are coming to a rapid end because they're fucktards. And so they are less than the billions that you're seeing there because they have been so fractionalized, and this is how I've correlated it into the banking model and what modern money mechanics knows about me at the University of Chicago, is that I'm the one that proofed the book. And so that's actually how the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper comes out and why it's the Windy City. They were looking for the air, you know, me, the Aquarius guy. So what I did is I made sure they have no recourse and that they can't get their hand in there, and that we did not touch any of that money, that we gave all of that away, and that's why we've been living off of stipends and lust, and that they were getting intel about what they could do with these things, and that it was supposed to be one big giveaway, and that's why I designed it as Bitcoin Billions.us, where now they're back-ended into the Kundalini design. Because if they didn't give it away and do Kundalini Kitchen, where even if Lakshmi wasn't your wife, you didn't catch her like that to fuck up with Ganesha and shit like that, all right, I'm proving who the fuck these motherfuckers are. So we were giving everything away. We gave away trillions, and bitches and assholes like to try to put themselves up on these pulpits and act like they were doing giveaways just for their followings and like they owned everything. And those are the ones that are getting the nice corona now. My mom got rid of a couple of old Coronas that somebody had planted here at the house with a copy of The Sims 2 DVDs. Yeah. That's a real bad EA game where I locked them into the wrong ear, and now they're in a fucking Scream movie. So when you see the video, you'll see how I stuck them literally in the ruins. That movie, The Ruins? I stuck them into that camera ear plant thing that doesn't run off with somebody's feet who got sawed.
I'll send you my post from the day that I again, Gary Newman, Ruined. And it was good because it incorporated this harmonic that had been unleashed at this moment, like in the falls past. But it was, I mean, it's all coming together, man. I really do appreciate your time on all of this, because you've worked hard to get where you are. Just want to make sure you're going to be stable in the next 10 days and not have to run out anywhere, even though you might feel like you have to. It's you know that this is just a drill, and it'll be great, because then we'll get the county get up and get set up in that county this summer. I promise.
Yes.
That's my goal for a long time now.
Yes. Well, we already did it. We gave it all away. They're fractionalized into the trillions because there were less than those billions. We're with one body right now.
The Hive blockchain is proving that forking off of that and taking my knowledge and my novel with it, it was reassessing now that value system that's changing shape and form.
I can't even find my Hive blog. It's like hidden on there. I just don't trust anything that's going through there right now. But if you text it to me, I will. I'm gonna.
You right. It's there for you. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You sit where you are in total comfort and appreciation for whatever it is that you're doing, because it ultimately just comes down to banking, and I don't bank with you.
I'm the band king guy. I'm the band king guy. You know.
You're still on Steam. You can still communicate very, very well there. So
yeah.
that's the point of that. You know.
Well, April Fool's is the census, and because it's the high census. You know, like high census, and who got sensated on 8 hertz. And last apps got real. I proved how they all got Bitcoin when I shut the biospheres in A to Z, which is in Arizona, and what I was actually doing there. And so my readings for April I already did last year, and they're already up, and that's what the census is. This is the wrap, as far as I'm concerned. So if they go faster than 10 days, I hope it just shatters and they shit out their ears.
I'm thinking the same thing, man. So let's reconnect then and find out. So it's so good to hear from you, and I'm glad that for what it's worth, you'll hopefully be sleeping better as we go. Okay?
Yeah, you too, dude. I hope you're less pain and more awesome.
Oh, I'm definitely after today. No, after today, that's a good little extinguisher you pulled. So thanks for that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna send you a recording of this too, because all these get recorded. So.
Obviously, and thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, brother.
Take care, brother.
You too, man. Bye.